What about now?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, and it says we are live, and you can still hear.
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, why not?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're going back and forth. It's just my screen is changing and doing different things. So, want to apologize to everybody. Growing pains of trying to do live stream. This is the Edge Rabbit Hole, which is a radio show, and we are making an attempt to do our first live. And I did play around with it a little bit last week in a live stream before I left on my trip, and now I'm trying to do this a little bit more professionally here. And there is Andrew Cox. Welcome, Andrew. So,
Hi, Andrew.
Yeah, so Vanessa, we're going to get into, and she's down here, so this is a little awkward. Vanessa's there. I have to look here at the camera. The chat is here. That's kind of the whole setup. But yeah, Vanessa, why don't you go ahead and say hello?
Hello, everyone. I apologize. I am not quite up to par today. Gussied up a little bit for you. We'll just take this again.
Yeah, so for some reason, Sean is still having a issue hearing something. So, sorry, not trying to go dead air here, but and there's Carrie. Doing Carrie. So, I want to ask, can you guys hear? Andrew is saying something to Shauna. Now I'm going to text her because she was talking about giving up because she's still been here for some reason.
Really?
Yeah. So, okay. I sent her a text saying back up. Grace is saying there's a lot of chop in the audio.
Okay, I can't hear any of that.
No, we hear each other fine. So it might be something to do with the stream. But, and Andrew's saying that he can hear. So, well, we'll see how, oh, I know the reason. When I ended up rebooting, it brought it back up on the wireless instead of the wired connection. That's why. I don't want to mess with that because I don't want to disconnect now that we're connected.
Exactly. Well, and was it on the wired connection beforehand?
It was, yeah.
Maybe that was why we lost sound.
No, it wasn't that. So, in any case, I guess we ought to just get into what we're supposed to be talking about. So, guys, thanks for joining us here tonight. So, we're still working through the format and all the technical issues. Shauna's saying asking if she needs a new link. It's the same thing looping for her. Okay, Vanessa, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit? Since I don't know, I might have given a new link or something. So let's see.
Yeah, for those who aren't, actually, I don't see how anyone could not know what we're going to be talking about tonight. But for those who aren't aware, Mike, my dear friend, co-host, publisher, buddy, got the very honored, a big privilege, really, to go and be interviewed by Ghost Adventures on Tuesday night here in Guthrie, Oklahoma. And I was lucky enough, because he's such a swell guy, to get to tag along.
Yeah, I think he created a new link, and that's so I'm gonna have to edit a few posts.
Okay.
Go to the right place.
Yeah, you go ahead and do that. I'm just going to chat people up real quick. But I got to go along with him. Probably I hadn't seen him in years, and friends shouldn't go that long without seeing each other. That sucks. And the other part, was because, of course, I wanted to see what they were going to be doing, and it ended up being about 5.5, almost 6 hours of good, clean fun. Had a great time. I got to see a place that I had only remote viewed for in the past. didn't know I was going there, so that was interesting. Mike is sneaky as ever. And got some information on the way that I got to relay to him, and then eventually to the owners. So that was great, and just got to meet the whole group of people, all the different people that work behind the scenes. And I have to say, I was really impressed. Just to watch how they did things, it was so professional. And Mike's worked on a show before, as have I. He's done a few of them. I've only done one, and it was really impressive, And so if those fellows ever get to see this, I hope they understand how much that was appreciated. Everything was definitely, done just so, and they made everybody feel very comfortable and welcome. But they were all business. They were all professional, and it was really impressive. I keep throwing that word around, but it's the truth. I think Mike will agree with me. I mean, I'm sure he'll talk about that later as well.
For anybody that's just joined, because of what happened with the audio, it started a new stream, so I'm fixing the links.
Yeah. I don't know crap about technical stuff, so it would have to be Mike doing that. But I got a little bit of time out in the back talking with Aaron.
I wanted to hear about that.
Yeah, very nice fellow. Very nice fellow. Real down to earth. He didn't put on airs or nothing like that. I mean, he wasn't out there to impress anybody. The impression I got was he was there to do a job. And it was a job he loved doing, and he was going to have fun doing it, but he was still very professional, And it was just really interesting to see. They said, when about the episode was going to air, and I don't know, it was just watching the interaction with them and the people of the Stone Line Inn. It was really pleasant. And how they tried to really make them be more comfortable in a very strange situation. Mike, is there something in your place?
What do you mean, is there something in my place?
I need to know if I'm the only one that saw that float above your head.
Above my head?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. What's going on there?
I just love to know.
Trying to think. I have seen something here before, but it was more of a personal thing rather than just like a random, ghost floating around or entity or what have you. Last place I was at in Maryland, there was a white mist that formed at one point in time. But here, no. So let me change one more thing, and then I will. I'm not going to be able to change them all because I threw it out all over the place. We'll hopefully have this fixed for next time around. That was a little aggravating, so gotta edit.
Thanks. No, it's what people go through.
Yeah, well, and this is a format that we would like to go to do the radio show more as a video show. A live stream show here on YouTube. I think that'll work out pretty well as long as we, work out the kinks. So, all right. So, I'll just start talking. Yeah, I really do have to thank Vanessa for joining me out there in Guthrie, Oklahoma, at the Stone Line Inn, which is, and I've talked about it a number of times. It is, absolutely my favorite haunted house, and it is the epitome of a haunted house. When you walk up, you just walk up to it, you look at it, yeah, that's a haunted house. I do have to kind of preclude all of this, with a little bit of something here. We can't get into too many details of what was actually filmed and was actually in the show. And I'm trying to get into the chat. Okay, so there's the chat. Great. Andrew, by the way, says, love the drawings that you do, Vanessa. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So. So basically what happened was about 2 weeks ago, I got a Twitter message from Jeff Belanger, and he said, hey, I saw your video on the Stone Lion Inn, really liked your experiences that you told, can you go ahead and contact me about that? And, we exchanged phone numbers and all that, and we talked a little bit, and, he wanted me out on the show. I mean, Jeff is the co-writer of Ghost Adventures along with Zach. So, Jeff does a lot of the history and background and all that, and then the two of them together kind of, piece together how the story is going to be told. So, yeah, Jeff hooked it all up for me to go out there, and yeah, I have to say, with Zach, I mean, it is really, and Vanessa, you have to agree with this. It's his show. I mean, he is the executive producer, but he is the guy that is basically directing, everything that is going on. And he was, to me, very meticulous about the lighting and how the shots were going to be arranged and all that. We're just doing interview stuff. It's not, it wasn't any of the actual ghost investigation. Although when things came up, they did kind of halt everything and kind of stop the presses and we're going to do a little something here. So can't really get into precisely what exactly happened, but Vanessa, is that kind of what you got from Zach?
That's exactly what I got. And like I said, the whole crew themselves were unbelievably professional. But yes, you could definitely tell that he is the one running the show. And I don't mean that, and I know you don't mean that in a heavy-handed kind of way. It was just to make sure that it's done, exactly how he wants it. And it comes out looking very well, and I think that attention to detail is one of the reasons, probably one of the main reasons that they went as far as they have. It was again, to use that word, impressive. But I mean, all the way down to the guys putting the mics on people. They were everything. It was almost a little bit militant.
Well, it was kind of funny for me because the guy that was doing the microphones was named Mike. So Mike is miking up Mike. We had fun with that.
I remember that was funny. Yeah. That actually made Michelle smile because she needed to smile.
Yeah, Michelle. Michelle's one of the ladies that works there. She's been friends with Becky, the homeowner, for like 30 years, and she was very, very timid and scared about being in there. I mean, the first time I met her, she's actually the very first person that I met at the Stone Line in like some 6-7 years ago. And just kind of touring Guthrie and just drove up. And she handed me information about the dinner theater and all that. But of course, asked her, okay, what are the ghost stories? She was like, oh no, I don't want to go there. It's just kind of scared of it. But yeah.
She's so sweet.
Yeah, no, she is. And okay, thank you, Shauna. Shauna says she can hear both of us. Vanessa, you have a little bit of an echo, but not too bad. And that's probably because you're over Skype being piped into this, and I'm kind of direct. But yeah, we'll talk about Becky for a minute. I mean, Becky is the owner of the Stone Lion Inn, and she's owned it since 1986. Attempted to raise her kids there. Eventually, turned into a bed and breakfast and moved out. But she's such a sweetheart. Very, very kind. I know, Vanessa, you really enjoyed speaking with her.
I sure did. I sure did. I'm going to go back and visit and hopefully help her paint.
Yeah.
I can't wait, actually.
Yeah. I was surprised to hear that she hadn't gotten my Ghosts and Legends of Oklahoma book, because I thought Schiffer, my publisher for that book, was supposed to send her a copy, and apparently didn't. But yeah, it was kind of funny because I haven't seen her since it was probably like 5 years. And I interviewed her for the book and what have you. It might even be longer. And so she shook my hand and she's like, "I know you, don't I?" It's like, yeah. But she was really happy to. I gave her a copy of each Ghosts and Legends of Oklahoma and a Conversation with the Paranormal, because that actually has the cover of the Stone Lion Inn on it. And I guess she had just recently seen it on Amazon somewhere. It was like, hey, that's my house. So she was very, very happy to receive those. And she started offering us like all free room and board and food.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very generous woman. So.
She's a sweetheart. And the interaction between her and Michelle, and how apprehensive Michelle is and how open about it Becky is, the two played off each other just exceptionally well. And it was really entertaining. But I think between you and I think we left Michelle with a little bit better understanding of what a place like that really is.
Well,
and
I hope
to not, yeah, to not be afraid. I hope so as well. She seemed to appreciate and take in what we were saying. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, you did a good job of. I'm sure I piped in with a couple of things, but I think you did a real good job of just sitting there with her and kind of calming her nerves and explaining to her what these things are that are actually there, and that what is there at the Stone Lion, and it's really not malicious at all.
Not even a little
spirits
bit.
that were once alive, but there's nothing bad there.
Oh yeah, nothing at all. I would stay there by myself overnight. I wouldn't even need another person in there. I mean, I'd have plenty to talk to.
Yeah, I think people just get spooked that there's something paranormal going on, not necessarily what type of paranormal entity is there, because the entities that are there. I mean, you're talking about a little girl. There's a tall man in a top hat, but and maybe it's the size of him that kind of spooks people. I'm not sure, but he's not mean and malicious either. He's just kind of hanging out, living in his sort of ethereal state.
I think what scares people so much, whether it's a place like the Stone Lion Inn or any other place, is that they just can't see them.
Right.
They just can't see them, And I mean, it's kind of like I'm in the dental field Monday through Friday. People would rather go to a proctologist than a dentist because they can't see what the proctologist is doing, but they can see. They know I'm right here, but they can't see what I'm doing. It's the fear of not being able to see. You know what I mean? That was a bad analogy, but you knew what I meant. But I think that's really what kind of fans the flames. Plus, everyone wants to think that things are automatically negative when they're not. I'm still amazed that years ago when I read for the Stone Lion Inn, I didn't get Irene, but I got her coming to you. Which tells me
that was really interesting. You didn't know any of that, which means you haven't read my book.
Hey.
That's with you.
Sorry. Do I look like I got time, Mike?
But I mean, it's really right when we first met up, and we met up at the Santa Fe Depot, which is another haunted location within Guthrie. The video blog that I posted earlier today, for those of you who haven't watched yet, has kind of a real quick run through of Guthrie and the other locations there. Santa Fe Depot is one of them. I'm going to be putting together a Ghosts and Legends, like a Ghosts of Guthrie, a bigger show on all that, so you get more of the details and everything. But Vanessa and I at the Santa Fe Depot before going over to the Stone Lion Inn, it was like, Vanessa, it was like the first thing you said to me was, I'm getting like Eileen, and I'm just like shaking my head like, no, it's Irene. But you're dead on.
I was like, she's about this high. And I mean, sweet, the fella I had gotten before, but I never knew what his name was, and I've never seen him above the chin. I've only ever seen him, from the neck down. The piano, had no idea there was one in there. The dress form, had no idea that there was actually one. Because even though I've remote viewed for it, I've never seen pictures of the inside of it.
Right.
So when you get to see it in person, it's amazing.
Oh,
it's such
a beautiful house.
Beautiful place. And the woodwork and to me, it just feels like home. I mean, I'm not saying my home, but it feels like a home. There's nothing but love in there.
Definitely. At least, to me, I mean, my experiences there were definitely kind of interesting, and I feel free to talk about my experiences on here because I have them in my different videos, and that's what they called me out for. I won't get into specific about. We did this, that, or the other thing, or they heard this or that. Other than the fact that, like I said, Zach was very meticulous. The crew was awesome, and we talked about the experiences that I had there in front of the fireplace in the library, and then out in the entrance hall. And I've had more experiences at the house, but those were the ones they were very focused on. And I thought Zach asked some good questions. It wasn't. I've done a lot of radio interviews, and some of them are just very surface level. And I've told the story about the Stone Line Inn to probably 80% at least of the radio shows that I've been interviewed on, and nobody has ever really asked me before about the type of energy that I felt. They just all thought it was pretty cool. I got nailed with a wave of energy, but he wanted like some specific details about how it specifically felt when it passed through me, and things that were going on before and even after that had happened. So I thought he gave a pretty good interview. I was a little, I was a little nervous at first because he first asked me, about being an author and stuff like that, and I just, I kind of bumbled through it a little bit, and I was screwing up their lighting because they had these different color lights shooting up at me, and I like to talk with my hands a lot. A lot of you guys watch my videos, and my fingers were casting these shadows up into my face. so I think half of that got cut out anyway, but no, I thought it was very interesting, the type of questions that he was actually asking about my experiences at the Stone Line Inn. So I think it'll be a good episode.
Mike, I have a question because it just hit me,
Yep.
and I know if anyone can answer this, it'll be you. Because when I went into the front room, parlor, library, whatever you want to call it, where you got that wave of energy. That was from the different places that I went in that house. That was the heavier room of all of them. That had the heaviest feel to it, but again, not negative.
Well, and what's kind of interesting about that room is that people don't really report paranormal activity happening in that room, but it is where I've had one of the most significant experiences, and I have always felt a bit of more of a heaviness in that room.
Well,
That's probably because it would have been the room where they would have put the bodies out, because for 8 years it was a mortuary.
That's what I was just saying.
Is that what, okay? Yeah. Yeah. So it makes total sense, and I always call it the library. I think Becky does call it the library as well, because it has that big, on the one wall, all those glass, that massive glass bookcase with all the shelves, and there's books in there and all that. Although people could call it a parlor, but right across the hall is the parlor suite. So to not confuse the two, I always call that the library. So Zach was asking about that. He's like, Mike, which room is the library? Like, that one.
Well, and it makes perfect sense now that we know what we know. Because that's what I was asking you right before you said, I'm like, were there wakes held in there? I don't think, and I'm actually going to correct myself, because what I felt when we were there, I think I might have been wrong on when I thought it was a woman, although it could have been. But I believe what you're hit with, that wave of emotion, I think it's just years of accumulation of sadness, of different people coming in and seeing their loved one laid out. And that could be why it's profound.
Yeah, I mean, it really could be. And not just with the 8 years that it was a mortuary, but the family that was in there. They had deaths within that family, and back in the day, you didn't always take a body of a loved one to a funeral home. You had to wake in your house, especially more affluent people like that. It was a big do right there in the house. So I said in my last live stream video that the next big video I'm doing is the Fairy Plantation, and they have they call it the parlor, where they had some occasional wakes and things like that there when the family members would pass, but they actually have that room set up right at this very moment as a wake. where they have a table out and there's a body, not a real one. And there's mourning dresses, the black dresses, mourning, mourning, like you're sad, mourning. And there was some really crazy activity that I felt there in that room that night. So,
remember, I read for you there.
Yeah, definitely some mention there. So, hi, Angela. Just another person that's joined and said hello.
Hello. I want to meet you there, Mike. I want to go to that place.
Yeah, well, it's Virginia City, so I know you've had some interesting experiences in Virginia.
Yeah, well, and that's what's a little bit frightening to me is because of my experiences in Virginia and because of what I told you and you confirmed about a woman in that place.
Oh, yeah. So,
I want
to go. We'll have to get there. I know doors always open from Heather Moore. So, but that's kind of off on a tangent. We kind of have to get back to the storyline. But definitely stuff to look forward to on Haunted Road Media. Also, I just want to throw this out there. Tonight on Enigma Underground Radio, which is part of Haunted Road Media, is the Haunting Hour. So for those of you that would love to hear the audio cast of the last Friday Night Ghost Frights and listen to some great hard rock but kind of creepy type theme music, the paranormal type theme music, that's going on at 9 o'clock Eastern tonight, so 8 o'clock Central, kind of following this. So I'm just there's other people that have connected, so very cool. What else do we need to talk about with the stone? I mean, I was in Guthrie all day long, and I don't know how much you've been through Guthrie, Vanessa, but one of the things I wanted to bring up, I knew this would jog my memory. One of the really sad things about Becky, who, like I said, is an absolute sweetheart, and the Stone Lion Inn, is a number of years ago, the people of Guthrie and the local community really didn't understand what she was doing. She opened it up as a bed and breakfast, and then started doing a murder mystery dinner theater out of it. Absolutely fantastic. Part of her events that she started doing along with the dinner theater was to take people out to Boot Hill at the local cemetery, where there's a number of outlaws that are buried out there. There's a lot of great frontier type history there. They have the Black Jail that's there, which was the first territorial prison there, and some of these outlaws were imprisoned there, escaped, and then were shot and killed. So she would take people out to Boot Hill and tell the different stories, including there's another one, Elmer McCurdy, who ended up being a traveling mummy for a while and ended up back there. But the people of the community started accusing her of going out there to the cemetery and devil worshiping and all this crazy stuff. No, it was insane, and so it was deeply troubling to her, of course, and of course hurting her children because they're going to school, and you have people in the community that are accusing their mother of all these things which just weren't true. So Vanessa, I'm sure you've dealt with things like that, given what you do. So
yes. So that's why I just got a little irritated, because I didn't know that. I didn't know they did that to her, and that angers me so much, because people feel what they don't understand, and that's fine. It's okay to feel what you don't understand. It's not okay to not try to understand it, or just to make assumptions.
Yeah, they're just being very accusatory, and to me, it's almost kind of like the witch hunts from how are we in this day and age still at that point?
All you have to do is look at some of the feed on Facebook to understand that.
Well,
it's. I am amazed, like you said, at this day and age, that people can still be so bass backwards. I really am. I don't understand it. That having been said, I know that not everybody thinks along those terms, and I try to rise above that. But having been accused of some horrific things myself, it troubles me, and it's those type of things that that for somebody like myself hurts my heart, because I only ever do what I can do to try to help others. As she was trying to educate others. And it's entertainment. Let's just face it. It's entertaining to learn about history. Especially when it's colorful. Especially when it's colorful. And when you're being persecuted for that, I mean, I'm amazed she stayed. I don't know if I would have had the gumption to do that. So, bless her.
I think that's the type of person that Becky is. She's a strong woman. She's not going to let people push her around like that. I mean, I know it was, very hurtful and troubling for her, but, she stuck by her guns and, eventually, got Guthrie named the bed and breakfast capital of Oklahoma. So it ended up being a feather in their cap to have her around. So it's really kind of unfortunate that they put her through that for so long. And I'm sure there's still people around there that accuse her of that. But
well, it reminds me of I read about some old psychiatric hospital that is Gwen and I talked about going to. It's like halfway between she and I, a little bit further up north, and how they used to do hunts and everything there, and investigations, whatever you want to call it, and they're going to stop doing it because developers are going to go in and build all new stuff, even though it was a psychiatric hospital with a lot of negative problems with it. And it's as if they want the entire history of it to go away. Well, I mean, you can want one hand and poo in the other and see which one fills up quicker. But it's not going to happen. And that's, I guess, that's probably how Becky looked at it too with Guthrie, is just, embrace the past and educate people from it. And like you said, it ended up being kind of a coup for the entire town, because now they've got the Bluebell Saloon that also claims Halloween, which I've actually seen photographs of that, so I understand that. I've never been there myself. I've only walked on the outside of it. I've been to Guthrie 3 times, and one of them was with you.
Well, thanks for showing me. Bluebell Saloon is an interesting location. I had lunch there the other day, so that was the first time I've actually been inside, which is in a way kind of lame because I actually wrote about it in my book, but I hadn't actually ventured inside. It was like, history and interviews and things like that, because I didn't have the opportunity to get back up there to write about actually walking in. But they actually have a lot of original material within there. The bar is original. The ceiling's actually still original. There's bullet holes in it from back in the day. A couple of things that I learned that I actually didn't realize is, Miss Lizzie's Bordello was housed above the saloon, and they were kind of a tandem there all the way back to when Guthrie was a tent city. And once they built the building, Ms. Lizzie actually, she came along for the ride and had her business above. But there are a lot of sad tales there about the girls, and I didn't realize that there were actually still chains in the floors there from keeping some of the girls there that didn't necessarily want to be there. Also, in the basement, there's a coffin, and nobody knows whose coffin it is, or if there's even anything inside the coffin. But it's down there in the basement. It creeps out the workers, so they refuse to go down there. So some other interesting tales that I learned about the Blue Balloon while I was out there this time. So,
yeah, I haven't been inside of it, but I walked outside of it one time with a friend. I think the second time I'd ever been to Guthrie. And if I remember correctly, there is, if you're facing the Bluebell to the left, there's a staircase that leads down. Is that correct?
If you're facing the Bluebell, there's a staircase that leads from which sidewalk?
It would be, I think if you're facing the Bluebell, it would be on the left-hand side. And it goes.
There's an alley there, and that used to have the catwalk that went across from the hotel to the saloon.
Okay, I'll have to go back and look at it. But when I was there that time, there was a woman at the bottom of the stairs. I mean, not alive, obviously. She was laying there and she was kind of crumpled up. Not from this time.
Gotcha.
And I told the person that I was with at that point about her. And I want to say that he confirmed that a woman had died that way, but I actually didn't get a chance to go inside because they were closed.
Well, yeah, and there's been businesses in and out of the Blue Belt kind of off and on over the years. They have a hard time. It's just location of where it's at. It's actually, even though it's one street away from one of the busiest streets in Guthrie, it's a little far. It's a quiet street. But the staircase that you're talking about, I know the one you're talking about now. That is, it used to be the entrance up to Miss Lizzie's. You would take that back staircase into the bordello up top. Miss Lizzie's is now, it's crazy. It's a little boutique that's on the first floor. But yeah, that staircase they used to climb, the patrons to get up there, or they would take the catwalk across. There's also a location near the furnace. There was a coal chute that is rumored to be the entranceway to the tunnels under Guthrie. There's all kinds of tunnels throughout the town under Guthrie, and so that was an entranceway. But one of the girls, Claudia, is said to have tried to escape and was murdered down there while trying to escape through the coal chute.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
My word. Yeah.
There's a lot of dark history, throughout that town. You had all the outlaws, you had the bordellos, saloons, all that stuff. You're talking about the Wild West, so.
And it was our capital city at one point in time, wasn't it?
It was until I want to say 1907. I think when Oklahoma entered statehood, that's when they moved the capital.
Yeah.
To Oklahoma City. So, yeah. What do I want to say? And the real crazy thing about Guthrie is, and this blows my mind every time I drive by it. They have that absolutely huge, massive Masonic temple right at the end of Oklahoma Street. It's like one of the biggest in the world, and it looks as if somebody just snatched up a building out of Washington, D.C., and just, boom, plopped it right in the middle of this small little town. It's just really crazy to look at. So, and they ran for years a children's home down the street a little ways, and it was they had, I guess originally it was children and elderly, and then they moved the elderly out. But of course, you have stories of a headmistress that had murdered some children, and there are supposed to be some child graves on the site.
That's
some
called
are supposed to be missing, things like that.
That's called the Dominion House now, isn't it?
It's now the Dominion House, and they do weddings out of there.
I know. I tried to get in for an investigation, and they won't let me.
No, they're not going to let you.
Yeah, they said no.
No, I walked the grounds and got some pictures and wrote about it anyway, but they wouldn't let me investigate.
Yeah.
That was years ago.
Yeah, they weren't having none of it.
So yes, Guthrie is in Oklahoma. Just to clarify for the chat room, so that is what we're talking about. One-time capital of Oklahoma, and now is the home to all kinds of great haunted places. They have an absolutely fantastic historic section. So that's what we're talking about, as well as the Stone Lion Inn, which is on the other side of the tracks, literally, which is where I had filmed with Ghost Adventures the other day. So just to kind of bring up to speed those that are new to the chat room. So it's a little town, very historic, and so many haunted locations there that I love going there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to grab Jana and Gray, and we're going to make a day trip of it. Because when you and I were there, it was dark. I couldn't see a whole lot, But I think we're going to go and spend a day, because actually the second time I ever went to Guthrie, it was already pitch black by the time I got there, and that's when Jana and I got run off of the Logan County Memorial Hospital grounds.
Right, yeah, do have to warn about that. Logan County Memorial Hospital, which is right down the street from the Stone Lion Inn. It hasn't been in use in about 30 years, and it's just standing there, falling apart. They say they're going to do different things with it, and nothing ever happens, of course. But it is under heavy surveillance. So basically, if you cross the threshold of the sidewalk the cops will come out there and nab you. So I had when I was out there the other day, I had a local come by because I was on the sidewalk doing a little filming, just kind of explaining what the hospital is. And he was warning me about that. I'm like, I know. That's why I haven't crossed the threshold of the sidewalk, that sacred line.
Yeah, me and know that.
Right.
Yeah. So that matter of fact, that's what my blog is about. Here comes the popo, because that's exactly what happened. We were there less than 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, here they come. Lights going, and that was fun.
Yeah, they're quick to nab people over there, so you do have to be careful. And you know what? I mean, doing what we do, as investigators, no, you should not trespass. And there's so many people that will break into places, and some of them do it just for the thrill of, like, I'm breaking into some place, and even though they have permission, like Shauna talks about this all the time with the goldenrod. It's like, if you really want to get on the boat and check it out and investigate a little bit or what have you, just ask. Just ask, and somebody will be out there and and let you in. But some people actually just get a thrill from breaking in. They've had a lot of that at the Logan County Memorial Hospital. But I do know some people that have gotten in there to actually investigate. They knew somebody, and you know who I'm talking about, Logan Corelli.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
He's actually investigated in there before, like way back in the day.
Yeah, and it's like with people, breaking into things and such. I mean, I know people who have done that as well. But like especially here stateside, because they don't really have. I don't think they have this type of problem overseas. But I've never understood that, like breaking into some of the older places, because the medical side of me thinks there's asbestos there. So unless you've got a mask on.
Yeah, in a old building like that, yeah, definitely. And so that is something you have to be careful of when investigating, is any older locations like that may have asbestos. Even when we were at the Stone Lion Inn, when the team went down into the basement, Zach was putting on the mask. He does have some sort of respiratory condition, so those that watch the show have noticed he does put the mask on a lot. And even just going into the basement where you've got some mold and mildew and that mustiness, your lungs can pick up some of that. So even at a house that's still lived in and what have you, you can get some of that. So you just you be careful and know yourself. And for him, he anytime there's like a hint of there could be some sort of issue there, he'll put the mask on. He doesn't care though how it makes him look. He just put it on.
Health is the most important thing. I love talking to dead people, but I want to do it while I'm alive.
Well, yeah, I don't want to do that one too.
It's more fun that way. I don't want to join them just yet. So he's doing the right thing. If you have any type of medical issues, you definitely have to watch out for yourself. And I could
definitely say good night, Angela. Thank you for joining us. Oops, and go ahead, continue on.
Oh no, I was also looking at the clock here too, but I know we started late.
We did.
But
so we'll wrap it up here in a few minutes.
Yeah, but I can completely understand why he would do that, and it's smart. It's smart to do that, to make sure that you're taken care of, because you can't continue to do this if you're sick.
Yeah, it's best to be careful.
Exactly. Well, I know I'm convinced. I'm definitely going back there. So, well, and now Shauna needs to come back and go with me.
Yes. We need to get Shauna out there. I think she would enjoy the house as well. Very, very just the whole ambiance of the Stone Lion Inn. It's just that it's a creepy vibe, but it's a creepy cool vibe, and you're just walking and there's the creaks and groans of the floorboards, and sometimes you're just standing there and you can hear it above you in one of the other floors that somebody's walking around up there. So yeah, we'll have to get her out sometime, definitely. So and she's saying yes. Raspberries has a question. Okay, so what's the question? So, and just keep in mind the playback is about 30 seconds behind what we're actually recording. So hopefully you'll ask the question through the chat, and we'll come back. I don't know. So, but we are gonna, whatever the question is, we'll wrap it up after the question. So
I can't see it, so I don't know.
I'm glad we did finally get this working.
Oh, most definitely, yeah. And I mean, it'll just get better with each time. As we get more used to it and everything.
So, has this little thing been blinking in the corner the whole time?
I don't see anything.
You don't
blinking.
See that, but I'm asking them. So, okay. Raspberries wants to know if either of you been out to the Bunnyman Bridge in Virginia. I have not. I've heard of the Bunnyman Bridge, but I have not actually been there. So, you were just in Virginia. Not too long ago. Was that one of those spots you hit?
No, it wasn't one of the spots I hit. I actually flew to Virginia for primarily a residential case, and then we got to do Beyond Perception investigators and myself got to do quite a few investigations, like good gravy, 16-hour days, 4 days straight of investigating. It was amazing, but that wasn't one of the locations. However, I will be going back, so apparently it needs to be wet. So I will put that on the list.
Well, hey, if you go out to Ferry Plantation, maybe it's one of those places that you hit while you're out there. You'll be on that side of the country.
Might as well.
Yeah.
I say hit them all while we can.
You only live once.
I know, right? Well.
All right.
We'll see about that.
We'll see. All right, so we'll wrap it up. It's just about 9 o'clock here on the East Coast, just about 8 o'clock Vanessa's time and Shauna's time and whoever else is out there. I do want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We do apologize for the technical issues at the beginning. We fortunately got worked through it all, and hopefully we will not have that next time around. Bit of a learning curve. This is our first live stream show for the Edge of the Rabbit Hole, so really do appreciate everybody coming out for that. We'll have to work in intro music and all that stuff later on. So, Vanessa, you have anything to say you want to say to wrap it up?
No, just I hope everybody watches the episode. I hope they watch them anyway, but I hope they watch the one with you on it and spread the word. You're a great guy, and I love the fact that you got recognized for that. And I'm stoked. I'm gonna put on my jammies again once we're done with this. I feel good.
Yeah. And for those that are wondering, that show, what we've been told, will air somewhere around February or March. We are talking about doing a watch party. My friend Roanna Ray is setting that up in the looks like the Indianapolis area. So there'll be details about all that later on once we get some details going. So yeah, really appreciate it. Everybody coming out and being supportive, watching the station or the channel. When I say station, if you haven't, of course, please subscribe. I really would appreciate that. A lot of great videos out here. Over 250 now. This one here becomes 251. So very, very cool. And I guess that about does it for our show this evening.
I think so.
EnigmaUnderground.com, which is Enigma Underground Radio. We have the Haunting Hour, which starting this very moment, go and give that a listen. The latest audio cast for Friday Night Ghost Frights is playing at this very moment. And then that'll be followed by all kinds of great paranormal themed music. So, for Vanessa Hogle, Shauna, Andrew, Carrie, Fran, everybody, Raspberries who came out to watch, really appreciate that. Have a great evening. Until next time.
Bye.